Welcome back. Hopefully you got that Ask Kim correct, and if you didn't, then you're dumb. No, I'm just kidding. So we're in part 2 right now, the hot tags. It's time for us to talk about different things that went on throughout the week. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Rowdy Roddy Piper situation. We're going to save that one for last. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about some other things that are going on, mostly about some new things coming up in WWE. One thing is that Uhaa Nation is going to be making his debut at the NXT TakeOver Brooklyn event. And they finally announced what his name's going to be. Because, you know, they always like to have their own name that they can own and that kind of stuff. It's going to be Apollo Crews. So, before we get into Brooklyn and who you would like to see him face at that, what do you guys think of the name?
There's no Apollo Creed.
I'm pretty sure that's the point.
It's kind of...
In fact, it's just different enough to not get sued.
It's like Terry Crews meets Apollo Creed.
I think it's exactly 20% different.
And they do have Xavier Woods, who used to go by Austin Creed, or he goes by Austin Creed. Consequences Creed, like, you know, so it's like, that's kind of funny that they're just like, Apollo Creed. Creed's movie, that movie's coming out soon. Let's go with that. Like, Apollo Crews isn't too bad, though. I mean, it's so on the nose. But we've had worse.
I really would have to see him come out with the name to make a full opinion on it. It seems kind of like lame, honestly. If it is just trying to capitalize on the Apollo movie, I mean, kudos for them for actually getting it on the ball rather than 3 years later like they tend to do.
Mm-hmm. Lego, any thoughts on Apollo Crews?
Nope.
I'd like to go on an Apollo cruise.
It's like to space.
Dumb name. Don't like it. That's all I got.
Well, they haven't announced what he's going to do at TakeOver Brooklyn. I'm assuming he's wrestling some kind of like an exhibition match of some sort. Who would you guys like to see him fight?
No Furnham.
Actually, I'm perfectly fine with Sean's suggestion.
Yeah, he'll more than likely just face some type of undercard enhancement talent that isn't normally on the show. Like one of those like Mike Rawless type guys.
Oh, those Zack Ryder's.
Jason Jordan.
Well, Jason Jordan's in a tag team now.
That's right, Chad Gable.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie
Willing and Gable.
Are they good? I haven't seen them together yet.
I mean, they still need some work, but they got potential.
I like him on Tough Enough. It's cool that he's like the main trainer, kind of.
Who, Chad Gable?
No, Jason Jordan.
Oh.
But, I don't know, I'd like to see him fight somebody who isn't Mike Rawless, because Mike Rawless is so, like, he's bad enough, I mean, not like terrible in the ring and that kind of thing, but he's, like, so low on the card that I can't even remember exactly how to necessarily spell his name sometimes. Like,
I always want to put Rollins.
Yeah, like, it's just, you know, it's bad when CJ Parker looks better than you. So having him, he would have fought CJ Parker too. That's the thing. If Parker was still here, he would have lost to him.
Well, who else would they really put if it's not a guy like that? I mean, the most you could expect of a name guy, maybe like Bull Dempsey.
Ooh, that could work. Hopefully, he's still.
That's not someone you want to set the first impression with.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of. It seems like they have bigger plans for Bull Dempsey, so I wouldn't do that to him. What about Mojo? You do that with Mojo then.
I gotta say, I would assume it would be either Angelo Dawkins, maybe Bull Dempsey. I haven't seen Dash Wilder in a while.
So I figured out Sean's new thing. So before, like, any time Brock Lesnar had a match, he just said Undertaker was going to show up, and he just kept doing it over and over until he was right. Now, whenever there's a situation where there's a mystery person, he's just going to say Baron Corbin.
Yep.
And it's just, eventually he's going to be right.
And then everybody's going to be like, oh my god! Baron Corbin's going to fight Samoa Joe.
500 other times.
So you're not going to be right this time.
Oh.
Sawyer Fulton, he's there. Ty Dillinger. Marcus Louis not doing anything.
I mean, they could do like a handicap match against one of the tag teams or something if they really wanted to make the guy look tough. Tough.
Yeah, the Hype Bros. There you go.
Did they even come out ever?
Yeah,
I never seen them actually come out as a tag team.
They came out today.
Oh, did you see the new tag team they have though? Beefcake.
Beef mode.
Beef mode. That's what it is.
That'll transition us into the next one, the next hot tag here. Because they do have a couple gimmick changes that are coming up soon. That one is one of them. It's Adam Rose and Brad Maddox. Fucking beef mode.
Beef mode!
God, they need to use that.
Hell yeah.
That needs to be their goddamn theme. Damien Sandow is possibly going to be doing the rapper gimmick that he does on Up, Up, Down, Down.
Oh, gosh.
Which is going to be terrible.
You know what I'm saying?
It's something that I thought was funny at first, and I've already gotten tired of it on 3 videos on Up, Up, Down, Down. I don't want to see that be his gimmick. Sizzle, the fucking rapper. Then there was reports that they were going to change Curtis Axel around. Now there actually is a report that they switched it back to Axelmania on the website.
What?
So what's happening there? They got rid of all the Hulk Hogan stuff, but they had a second thought about Axelmania?
Well, you know what? I think they realized that the whole Hulk Hogan thing really didn't end up being that big of a deal. That came and went really fast in mainstream media.
Do you think they're going to keep Axelmania and Macho Man now, or do you think that they are going to switch it just to be safe?
If they think there's money in it, I'm sure they'll do it. I think there's better things you could do with those two guys, including the rapper thing.
Oh, God. What if they went full on, like, balls to the wall and they had Axelmania and he started feuding with, like, New Day and stuff? They just went, like, horribly insensitive.
You'd have to wear the NWO shit.
What, like, how awful, but, like, kind of, like, ballsy would that be?
I do not support this idea.
Oh, it'll never happen. And it would be so fucking dumb of them to do it, because they would just get so much flack. But, like, in a crazier world, in the Attitude Era, they would have fucking done it. And everybody would have just been like, oh,
in the
God.
Attitude Era, they would have done it if Hulk Hogan was still working for WCW.
That's true. But I can't see them keeping Axelmania without having the ties to that. So they can't keep it. You know, like, and it kind of sucks for Curtis Axel because he can't really do anything on his own.
That's not fair. Sure he can. He can go bald.
Well, what do you guys think of Beef Mode, Sizzle the Rapper, and Axelmania 2.0 or whatever the hell he's going to do?
Beef Mode is intriguing. It really is. Those are two guys who, at this point, we haven't seen Brad Maddox in months, except for during that pull-apart with Undertaker and Lesnar. I remember like, oh, Brad Maddox spotting. Cool. And Adam Rose, people have been begging for him to join as the Wyatt family. I think he could do better.
Than the Wyatt family or Beef Mode?
Than the Wyatt family. Than just being like a random fetch boy for the Wyatt family, because that's what he would have been. So I think like if he's going to do something neat like this, good for him. And good for Brad Maddox as well. I wish them the best. And, you know, there's going to be a need for new tag teams in NXT. So here they come.
Sean, what do you think of these 3 ideas?
The Damien Sandow one can go suck my knob, because that's just a fucking terrible fucking idea. And it's gimmick infringement on my part. Alright, I should be able to sue. You know what I'm saying? Every time he says it, it makes me depressed. And Adam Rose, I liked Adam Rose, and I think he deserves to be treated better. And Brad Maddox is, well, he's a laugh. So good for them two guys to be in the tag team, I think. I'd watch it.
Rego, your thoughts?
So the tag team I'm interested in just because they haven't done anything with Maddox in a while, so awesome for him for finally getting an opportunity. To be quite honest, I wish they would have just fired Adam Rose a while ago.
Still trying to get Maddox over.
Hey. If I keep pushing it, it'll work.
But first you don't succeed.
What was the other one? Fucking, I didn't know Damien Sandow had a rapper gimmick, but
it's awful.
It sounds awful, and I don't know why they don't just let him be himself and give it a run with that.
Because now he's got to be the funny man. But you know what? It really ain't that funny.
Yeah, this rapper thing's not that funny. At first, like, I thought it was just something that he did on the fly in that one video, and I was laughing at that. And then he kept doing it, and it just was the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this. I don't want to see him do it. Especially that one episode that they did where it was just him and Xavier Woods. Overboard with it. That was like 10 straight minutes of him doing that, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so fucking bored with this. Like,
you made it through 10 minutes? I turned it off after 3.
I watched the whole thing, yeah, but I prefer watching Rusev on that than Damien Sandow.
Yes.
And it's like, goddamn, fucking Tong Po. All he does is just kind of look confused and smile. And it's more entertaining than this rapper thing. So I'm not supportive of this at all. What do you think about Axel, though, Wigo?
I don't know what to think about Axel. I think he's done what he's going to do in WWE. I think it's probably best to cut ties with him. He'd be a good job guy, but he hasn't really got much to offer.
Not even in NXT?
As an enhancement guy to the guys that you're bringing up, sure, he can fill that role, but he's balding, he's ugly, he's not exactly charismatic. He's a solid hand in the ring, but that's all he is.
We got a couple of TV shows that might be coming soon as well. They have mentioned, actually, on top of it, another thing too. But let's go to the TV shows first. One is Table 3. This is very vague. I don't know what they're going with here, but the description in its entirety is, quote, gives viewers a seat at the table with our superstars and divas. What in the hell do you guys think that this might be?
Not as good as Table 2.
Well, everybody knows the third film in a trilogy is usually shit.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
You know, Godfather 3, Matrix 3.
Second one's always the dark one, so it's the best one.
Yeah. Empire, you know.
I'm sorry, what was the stupid show about again? You're sitting at a table?
Gives viewers a seat at the table with our superstars and divas. It's like, what table?
What?
Like, I don't...
So wait, is it supposed to be like that show where Renee Young like took people out for coffee? Only you're supposed to be Renee Young? Like,
I have no
or is it like
idea.
supposed to be like a virtual date?
And like, is it Table 3? Is it like a superstar, a diva, and a fan? Are they the 3 people at a table? Or is it like a commentary table? Like, they really are just like, you guys interested in this idea of something?
This is just a documentary on the Dudley Boys and you've all been worked.
I'd rather watch that.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, I would watch a documentary on them. I enjoy them.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to see the ring on the perspective of the fucking announcers. That would be pretty cool. If there's something like that, but
I'd be up for something like that.
not.
I don't know what the fuck this is, though. They also said that they might do an NXT reality show kind of in the same idea of Total Divas.
Nope.
But sort of along the lines of like the struggles to work in NXT without being on the main roster and how you want to get to the main roster. I'm down for that. I think that's cool.
Nope.
Why not?
Because I'm already addicted to Total Divas. That's bad enough.
Wow.
It's a good show. Especially when John Cena doesn't want kids and all the stuff he does for Make-A-Wish. He's kind of a hypocrite.
What's a hypocrite?
Yes.
All I'm going to say is the less I know about the superstars, the better. Whenever I see these guys out of character, it taints my opinions of them, and I know they're real. I know they're 2 different things, but when a guy's a dick, he's still a dick no matter what situation he's in.
Would you watch this, Peyton?
No, I don't think so. I don't really like stuff that gets too behind the scenes, and I like watching NXT as a show. I don't need to watch more like that though.
They are going to try to do a Sports Center show, but they're also going to try to cover pop culture, not just WWE. Thumbs down for me on that one.
Wait, what they... Sorry, I missed the first part. They're doing pop culture in what respect?
What it said was a show like Sports Center that covers pop culture.
Depends who is running, like, pulling the strings behind that. If a guy like Heyman was doing it, because I know he already does the Heyman Hustle type thing, he could make something of it. But if it's just going to be fucking Vince putting what he thinks pop culture is on the network, I really don't care.
I'm kind of assuming it's sort of like the cross between The Soup and like a recap show that you would see on Sports Center.
No.
Yeah, that's my own like interpretation from what they said. It might not be that at all, but
I actually vaguely remember hearing rumblings of there being a deal being worked out between WWE and the coach to do a show for the network. I can only assume that would probably be it.
Do you think that he's into like the non-sport side of pop culture?
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he is, but
I don't know. I don't know the coach.
I know he's a walking, talking popcorn fart.
You lost me on that one.
God, oh yeah, I forgot you abandoned ship in 2003 till it was between 03 and 5. Rock called him a walking, talking popcorn fart.
Huh.
And it's funny because The Rock said it.
There are talks that maybe Swerved was canceled, and then, of course, right after that, it's like, hey, everybody, check out Swerved. It's coming back, and all that. So
I guess
that's
they
total
swerved
bullshit.
us.
Yeah, that's...
Zing.
Nice Tony joke there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have said before you're not really too into Swerved and stuff. I think it's kind of funny, but has it won anybody over?
Yeah, it's won me over. I love it.
It's alright once in a while. It's a lot of dumb gags.
It's not something that I can give my full focus, but if I'm on my laptop or writing something or doing whatever, I can have that in the background and chuckle at it.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah. It's not like, let me sit down and make sure that I'm watching this live kind of a thing.
I still can't get into it. I watched the one episode the other day where they were all in the restaurant and the restaurant owners pretended to be brother and sister and they were making out and shit. I was like, this is so wrong.
I saw that one and it was only funny because of Connor.
He was so uncomfortable.
The chick first started flirting with him. And he's like, I'm a wrestler, and he was like,
I like your hair. Oh, thanks.
Oh, thanks.
Dude, you had a gimmick where you were a rat man. Take it where you could get. She's not bad looking.
The best one I ever saw though is when they had I think it was Kofi brought someone outside to do a video message to his cousin or something, and then when they tried to go back inside, the bouncer wouldn't let them back in.
Yeah, they did that with Bad News Barrett.
Barrett Rollins.
Seth Rollins. Oh my god, Seth Rollins lost his shit.
Yeah, well, he was WWE champion. I like the show. It's a little stupid, but
Seth was a little close to his character.
Yeah,
in that moment it was brilliant.
I like seeing Dean Ambrose on the show though. Because he's he no-sells a lot of shit, and it's just kind of like, oh, yeah, you got me, assholes. Renee Young's good on it, too. So hopefully that'll stick around, and the last thing when it comes to ideas with the network that's been passing around now, they're thinking about having gift cards that you can buy in the store to try to get people, if you don't want to really put down the money for a subscription, then you can get a 3 months gift card kind of subscription, give it as a gift, that kind of a thing. I think it's a good idea.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
everybody's just
iTunes gift cards and shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I got plenty of those. I don't use them.
See, I don't use any of those kind of things because I don't, I'm not going to buy an app. I'm not going to shit. But at the same time, if there's people that do use these kind of subscription cards and stuff like that, that could be a good way to get them hooked. You give them a gift card for instead of it's their birthday, here's $30 on a gift card for network. You have 3 months of the network. If you stick around the network 3 months, you might start buying it after that. And, you can't do stuff when it comes to credit cards. That was another thing that they said. If people are nervous about them having the credit card, well, you bought the gift card. You don't have to use a credit card anymore.
Yeah, the more options I give people, the better. People love options, especially in America.
It might actually even help them a little bit just to have them in the stores and people see the little WWE logo and they go, what the hell is this? I don't see this being a downside at all.
There's nothing ill that can come of it. Just not much to say about it.
And, yeah, I've already been a long-time network subscriber to their main model, so it's not going to have any needs for me.
Alrighty, that takes us into our major hot tag, of course. Everybody should know by now because it happened a couple days ago, but Rowdy Roddy Piper passed away at the age of 61. He fell victim to a heart attack in his sleep after pretty much like getting rid of the cancer that he had, Hodgkin's lymphoma. Obviously, you know, we're all going to echo the same statements of it's a shame. We, you know, condolences to his family and friends and that kind of stuff. But we're going to be covering some stuff about his career in Superstar Scores later on, so we don't really have as much of a retrospective when it comes to that. But outside of when we get into the stuff later on, what do you guys want to throw out there about Piper? I mean, you know, any like great memories, any thoughts of like, you know, what the wrestling world's going to miss and stuff?
The dude could rock a kilt.
That he could do. Not many men could pull that off. And especially Trillpod still look like a badass doing it.
Well, as far as Roddy goes, I can't, like, give you a long list of things that I admired about him because I was never around during Roddy Piper's peak. I got to see the entail of it, and what I saw, like, retrospectively, the guy was a hell of a promo guy, and he knew how to get heat. He was one of the last genuine heels because after that time, they became less and less, so he did a lot of great things. The whole thing with Mr. T was big. He was a huge part of the first WrestleMania, so his legacy speaks for himself, and I think his best work will probably go unspoken in the NWA days.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the NWA stuff that he did. Only WWE. And actually, I'm not even too familiar with what he did in WCW. Just because I was always a WWF guy.
Ditto.
But,
his WCW stuff is completely missable.
I kind of assumed that he really didn't do all that much, because I never really saw him all that much, you know, in that stuff. Like, he was, you know, there was Hogan and Savage and Luger and Flair and Sting, like, but Piper's name never really came up all that much, so, I mean, I can't even think of, like, any important matches that he had in WCW or whatever. I think he fought Hogan one time at, like, Super Brawl or something. Like,
here's the thing, a few times. The thing with Piper, though, his career was never based on his in-ring work, and thank God for that, but it's based on his promo work and his character work, because that's all you needed back then. That was the important thing. He had shortcomings, but he made up for them in other areas, like his psychology.
Well, it's not like the wrestling level back then was very high. I mean,
yeah, like he did more than enough to get by back in those days.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we have different.
It'd
we
be
have
unfair
different
to judge.
Yeah, we have different standards now. We can't like compare fucking Roddy Piper to even Shawn Michaels, let alone to some of the stuff we see now.
But I will tell you, even going by the standards of the day, and you know, I'm a little more familiar with Piper growing up, watching a lot of stuff with him, and I can tell you, Piper is a guy who really went back and forth. Like when he was on. Like when he got really passionate with his speech and when he was really into a particular story, he could really pull off some awesome things. But then sometimes he could just be so sloppy and rambling. Like I've honestly had points in my life where I couldn't stand Roddy Piper. And then I go and check other points. I'm like, oh, he's really not that bad. I don't know what my problem with him was. And then I see certain other things. I'm like, holy crap, that's what it was. So I don't know what it is. He just kind of like goes back and forth. And most of that bad stuff, honestly, was in WCW. You watch a lot of his WCW stuff, and it's just like, oh my gosh, Piper, what are you doing? You watch any of his WWF stuff, pretty much, like his 80s run, that 90s small run he did, where he had those few matches, where he was the president, and he had that backlot brawl with Goldust. He was doing some real on fire stuff. And then anytime he did one of his Legends returns, it was, you know, take it or leave it with you if you like the Roddy Piper shtick or not.
There's one Legend return that I didn't mind, and it goes unspoken about a lot. Tim and Flair, I believe, actually won the tag team titles. I think it was against Rated. I think it was against Rated RKO, or they might have dropped it to Rated RKO. But regardless, it was kind of like one of those just feel-good moments, and either not long before or not long afterwards, I think, is when Roddy ended up getting cancer, too.
Do you guys have, like, a favorite Piper moment? Whether it's, like, in wrestling or outside of wrestling, you know. I never watched They Live. Everybody talks about how great it is, but that's not my kind of thing. Like, I don't like those movies, so I'm sure I wouldn't really like it, but that is a good line, at the very least.
The one clip that sticks out in my mind when anyone says Roddy Piper to me is him smashing the coconut off, what's his face, Jimmy Snooker. And that's mainly because growing up, they used to play that clip so often when they talked about their nostalgia things. So it kind of got ingrained in my brain. So that's what I think when I hear Roddy Piper.
Engraved? What are you thinking about work?
Yeah, you caught me on a weak moment. I'm also like coming off caffeine right now, so I'm totally drained.
I think what stands out to me, other than the Snuka thing and the backlot brawl, because that was like right when I was like hardcore, like getting into wrestling. Maybe it would just be the action figure that I used to have, because I had the old figures where it was like they're like a solid chunk of plastic you can't do goddamn shit with. But Piper, you know, he had the long hair, he had the kilt and stuff like that, and he was one of those first kind of guys that I like got into with like, it was him, Jake the Snake, Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, and Hulk Hogan. Those were the 5, and then to an extent, Sergeant Slaughter. But those 5 were really like the core people that I got into back in that time period where I really didn't know too much about wrestling, and it was just those 5 were cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so Piper stood out to me. It was always like, oh, you know, why is this guy wearing a kilt? He's got long hair. Why is he dressed like a girl? Because I was stupid back then, you know. But real badass
back
at
then.
the same time. Fuck you.
So if we're going to talk about Roddy Piper's acting career, I mean, you talk about They Live, which of course is his most iconic film, but there is absolutely a movie that you must check out called Hell Comes to Frogtown.
What?
And it's exactly as awesome as the name sounds. Hell
Is it a town of frogs?
Comes to Frogtown. Yes.
Wow.
And it's literal. Roddy Piper's character's name is Sam Hell. So it's Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Oh, man.
So definitely check that out. But if I'm going to go with my favorite one, it's got to be him as the Maniac.
Yes.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Such a great line. The whole, yeah, you remind me of my kids. Oh, you got kids, Maniac? Nah, not anymore.
Nah.
And he's flipping out with the fucking phone. It was just like, what? It was like, what, like $10 or something? He's all pissed off about. Just has a bucket of acorns. This guy's just got a bucket of acorns in his car. He's got a bucket of acorns.
Was it like a KFC bucket?
I think so. He was so good at playing that fucking crazy character. Oh,
Thing is, I bet that was actually Roddy Piper's car.
Probably, and he probably had the bucket too.
He actually did have the bucket of acorns.
I could see them doing that and be like, let's just work it in here. Sean, what about you? Any like standout Roddy Piper moments?
Just the coconut. Just the coconut.
Not even what he did with it, just the coconut.
Just the coconut.
All right, guys. Well, more Roddy Piper talk coming up. Go ahead. There you go.
No, it's fine.
I did try to smash a coconut across my brother's head once. Didn't go down well. The coconut didn't break. It just sort of just clonked on his head, and he just went, "Ow!" Good moment.
Well, you didn't like, I don't know, like put like a slit in it or something ahead of time.
No, I just didn't full on with the coconut.
No, but there was a slit in his brother's head afterwards.
So that's what happened to your brother.
Yep, explains a lot.
As I was saying, more Roddy Piper talk coming up. We're going to take a break here with the rest hold, and we're going to come back afterward and talk Superstar Scores.